Good morning, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Welcome back and nice to have you here. And I don't have much for today, but I have a comment about pro-Isaias Afwerki demonstrators in Washington, D.C. and the other global protests they planned on the coming Friday. So I have a comment on these protesters plus one news to read. After that, I will share a couple of videos at the end. Thank you again. I appreciate you taking part in this Concerned Citizens Media. May 19, 2021. Pro-Abiy Ahmed and pro-Isaias Afwerki protesters marched in Washington, D.C. on Monday. Mr. Naaman Zaleka, former managing director of ISAT Media and Gunboat 7 senior officer and current senior officer for Ethiopian Citizens for Social Justice Party, organized this protest. The demonstrators denounced the United States and the other Western countries for speaking up against genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity in the Tigray region and other regions in Ethiopia. These protesters are working with the Ethiopian and Eritrean government to divert the attention given to the crimes committed by the Eritrean Defense Forces, the Amara Special Forces, and Ethiopian Army, and to avoid accountability for these serious crimes or atrocities. These groups are planning to have another pro-Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki of Eritrea globally, another protest coming globally in the coming Friday. Meanwhile, Mr. Andargacho Tsege, senior officer in the Ethiopian Citizens for Justice Party, threatened to do everything against the policy of the United States, including the burning of American flags in front of the United States Embassy in Addis Ababa. Mr. Andargacho Tsege also blamed the United States for chaos the Libyan citizens encounter in their country, and he will not allow the United States to do the same in Ethiopia. So this is a threat from Andargacho Tsege. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is also trashing the United States without naming her. The Prime Minister said that Ethiopia has never been colonized and will not be in the future. And she will not, Ethiopia will not surrender to the United States pressure. That's the Prime Minister's words. He is using every opportunity to denounce and trash the United States and galvanized Ethiopians to unnecessary confrontation with the United States and with the West. So this is the situation happening in Ethiopia and around the globe. So Concerned Citizens Media encourages Abiy Ahmed and his supporters to stop all these diversion tactics and focus on the legitimate concerns of Ethiopians and the global communities, especially about the immediate withdrawal of Eritrean defense forces from the Tigray region, the Amara special forces from the areas they captured under the pretext of law and order operation in the Tigray region. Plus, they should work with independent international investigation for these crimes committed on Tigrayans and others in Ethiopia. The United States of America deserves credit and honor for speaking out against criminals in the Tigray region war and for call for dialogue and reconciliation among all stakeholders to solve Ethiopia's current challenges. Unnecessary confrontation with the United States and other Western countries and bragging about past history will not take us anywhere. So that's the comment of Concerned Citizens Media. So Ethiopia is already in isolation. It's already isolated from the global community. So instead of solving that problem, now Abiy Ahmed and his supporters decided to face off or confrontation with the United States and with other European countries. So I don't know what they're thinking of, you know. I know in the history, Ethiopia and Liberia, the only two countries never been colonized. Why they bring this issue? The United States is not coming to colonize Ethiopia, or the West, they are not coming to colonize Ethiopia. So why all this diversion, all the talk, all encouraging Ethiopians to fight back? Something is not there. What the Western countries, the United States, Europeans are demanding are the withdrawal of the Eritrean criminal forces from Tigray and the Amara special forces from Tigray region, from the areas they captured, Walqait, Tagade plus Humera, under the pretext of the law and order operation. It's supposed to be the law and order operation, but it's grabbing the land. So instead of resolving all these outstanding issues, Abiy Ahmed decided to fight back in a different way. This will not help the country, will not help Ethiopians. So this strategy is not useful. They have to slow down and resolve the issues. The issue is the country is going in a wrong direction. No law in order in that country. Everywhere is chaos, command post everywhere. Public killing, like it happened last week in Dambidolo. One student was just killed in front of the public. So prisoners taken out from jail and killed at the middle of the night. So no accountability. The country is in a wrong way. The war in Tigray is not over, it's expanding. So instead of, fighting unnecessary fight and encouraging Ethiopians to confront the Western countries through the diaspora or something else, is not necessary, is not help us to solve the problem. It will lead the country into further chaos and further isolation. That's why the concerned citizens media, if they are listening, our media, I'm just advising them to slow down, change your strategy. Don't blame the United States and the European Union for speaking up. You are trying to divert the topics of discussion to avoid the accountability, what you guys did in Tigray region and other areas. So that strategy still, they should avoid, what I'm saying is they should avoid a confrontation. It will not help the country. I know Abiy, say Ethiopia will not be destroyed as long as he is there. Ethiopia does not belong to Abiy Ahmed only. Ethiopia is a country for more than 110 people. So why he is, killing himself? Ethiopia will still be there if he's go away. So why he thinking that Ethiopia only belongs to him and talking all this trash against the United States and making more enemies instead of more friends? So they have to change that strategy. I know they are planning to have more protests against the United States and against the other Western countries in the coming Fridays, according to my resources. So that is not useful. It will not change the basic, the demand, the European Union, the United States, and others, the UN, are asking from the United States, from the Abiy Ahmed government. They are calling for a reconciliation, dialogue among all stakeholders. They are calling for fair and free election, not the one coming up, which is not fulfilled the international standard of election. So I know they try to do something and win the election, then they will call for dialogue after that, after they got legitimacy. That is their calculation, but it will not help. It will not help. They should give up for the sake of the country and sit on the table for all stakeholders about the future of that country, instead of ignoring, trashing the United States and others, and fighting unnecessary fight or unnecessary confrontation. The country is already poor, is a third world country, and dependent on the United States aid and European aid. So what this all talks about? Unnecessary talks, and will not resolve the country's problem. We need good relationship with all countries if possible, and resolving our issues we have with them. If the criminals did something, let them accountable. Don't try to cover it up. So that is a comment from concerned citizens. I hope they will change their stand and choose the better way for that country. Okay, the other news I have is Colonel Gammachu Ayana and others snatched by Abiy Ahmed's undercover operatives after the court found them not guilty. This is not the first time. It happened again. Their whereabouts is not known. It is a tragedy for families and friends who were waiting for their releases. This is a travesty of justice happening again and again under the order of Abiy Ahmed. What the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is talking about about the independence of justice system and what is doing behind the scenes are totally contradictory. There is no law and order in Ethiopia under Abiy Ahmed's leadership. And yet again, this prime minister's illegal action clearly indicates that justice for those waiting in the country's prison is also in jeopardy. Ethiopians should have been united to denounce this illegal and immoral dictatorial actions of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed instead of protesting against the United States and other Western countries. The due process of justice must not be manipulated by politicians. So it's happening and again and again. And accountability is lacking. Law and order is lacking in Ethiopia under Abiy Ahmed. After the court allowed the prisoners to be free on bail, or after the court found the accused not guilty, they are free. They're supposed to be free. But Abiy controls everything. He used his undercover operatives illegally snatching these people for his own political benefit. The country is in a wrong direction. Concerned citizens media reported repeatedly the country is in a wrong direction under this prime minister. He is not listening to anybody. He is not listening to Ethiopians. He is not listening to the global community. He is doing whatever he wanna do. Probably he is listening to the dictator Isaias Afwerki. I suspect. So, these are bad signs for that country. It's a dictatorial sign. It's not a good sign. One time I tried to compare him with Idi Amin. Idi Amin, Uganda, he's known for killing so many Ugandans slowly. He make everyone listen to him first. After that, everyone must show that loyal to him. Anybody challenge him, he will shoot them. So that kind of character is slowly and for surely coming to Ethiopia under Abiy Ahmed. Everyone is scared of him. But no parliament, no police, no, the police, the military, everyone listen to his order. Nobody is challenging him. The only thing now we see is the court is doing something in contrary to his wish. That's why he used the security to snatch these people, illegally, after they are free, and keep them somewhere. So this is a very bad one. Ethiopians must protest this, not protest against the United States. They must not stand with Abiy Ahmed. They are, standing with him now at home, especially the Amaras, because they get some temporary benefit. They are losing ground between Sudan and Ethiopia, but they are getting some from the Tigray region. That's why they're thinking that's a temporary victory, temporary benefit. That's why they are, helping Abiy Ahmed and speaking his language at the global stage through demonstrations and social media. So they just looking at temporary benefits. These are not long-term benefit for that country. So I encourage them to look back what they were saying during TPLF time. Some of them, they're talking about fighting for justice, for equality, for all Ethiopians. They were accusing TPLF selling Ethiopian, borders to Sudan. All this is now ignored. Sudan is close to Ethiopia in about 70 or 80 kilometers deep into Ethiopia territory. They are still shut their mouths because they don't want to humiliate their prime minister. They don't want to say anything against him. They support him because they got some Walqait, Tagade, and who said Humara from Tigray region. They are happy now, but they are losing the big picture. So this is not good strategy. We have to stand up together for the sake of the country and for a bigger picture, not temporary small benefit. So that's all I have. And this, ignoring the justice decision, the judge's decision is not a good sign. And one man controlling everything is not a good sign. It's a sign of dictatorship. And it will reach the point of no return if it's not controlled early. Thank you again. So let's see some videos and conclude today's presentation. And one of the video is pro-Abiy, pro-Isaias Afwerki protesters in DC. And you will see Mr. Naam Zallak speaking in Amharic, but the point is they are denouncing the United States and the Western world. And they are attempting to, as I said, to divert the point of discussion. And instead of focusing on war crimes against humanity, and the genocide happened in Tigray and somewhere else, they're talking about the United States is interfering with the Ethiopian internal politics. That's not true. Okay, let's listen. There we go. This is Mr. Naam Zallak, former managing director of ISAT. He is the one organizing on behalf of Abiy Ahmed and Isaias Afwerki to divert the topic from, talking about genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, which is a global concern.
ሰላም ጤና ይስጥልን ውድ ተመልካቾቻችን አድማጮቻችን የዜና ቲዩብ ነው። በአሁኑ ሰዓት በአሜሪካ በዋሽንግተን ዲሲ እና አካባቢው የሚኖሩ ኢትዮጵያውያንና ኤርትራውያን በነቂስ በመውጣት በስቴት ዲፓርትመንት የተቃውሞ ሰልፍ እያደረጉ ይገኛሉ። ኢትዮጵያውያንና ኤርትራውያኑ በተለይ የአሜሪካ መንግስትና ምዕራባውያን ከቅርብ ጊዜ ወዲህ በሀገራቸው ላይ እያደረጉ ያለውን ጣልቃ ገብነት እንዲሁም ጁንታውን ከሞት ለማንሳት የሚያደርጉትን ሴራ በመቃወም ነው ድምጻቸውን እያሰሙ ያሉት። በዚህ ሰልፍ ላይ እጅግ በርካታ ኢትዮጵያውያንና ኤርትራውያን የየሀገሮቻቸውን ሰንደቅ ዓላማ በማውለብለብና የተለያዩ መፈክሮችን በማንገብ ተገኝተዋል። ከሰልፉ አስተባባሪዎችና ግንባር ቀደም መሪዎች መካከል አቶ ነአምን ዘለቀ አንዱ ናቸው። ስለ ሰልፉ ዓላማና አጠቃላይ ስላለ ሁኔታ ከዜና ቲዩብ ጋር አጭር ቆይታ አድርገዋል። ቀጥታ ወደ አቶ ነአምን ወስዳቸዋለሁ። ተመልካቾቻችን አድማጮቻችን በሰልፉ ላይ እንግዲህ በግንባር ቀደምትነት ከተመለከትናቸው መካከል አቶ ነአምን ዘለቀ አሁን መስመር ላይ አሉ። አቶ ነአምን ፈቃደኛ በመሆኑ በቅድሚያ እያመሰገንኩ የዛሬው ሰልፍ ዓላማ ምን ይመስላል እስኪ ንገሩን።
አመሰግናለሁ ደረጀ። የዛሬው ሰልፍ ሁለት መሰረታዊ ዓላማዎች አሉት። አንደኛው በኢትዮጵያ በሀገራችን አንደራደርም የሚል ሲሆን ሁለተኛው ደግሞ የህዳሴ ግድብ በኢትዮጵያ ህዝብ ኢትዮጵያን በውጭ ያሉ የህዳሴ ግድብን የመገደብ ውሃውን ሙሌት የማረጋገጥ ድምጻችንን ለአሜሪካ መንግስት ለማሰማት ነው። ዋናው ሌላው ደግሞ ከዚሁ ጋር ተያይዞ ያለው እንግዲህ ሰሞኑን እንደምንከታተለው ቀደም ብሎም ከዚህ ከትህነግ በሰሜን እዝ ላይ ያደረሰውን ጥቃት እና መንግስት ደግሞ የህግ የማስከበር ዘመቻ ምላሽ ጋር ተያይዞ የአሜሪካ መንግስት እየወሰደ ያለው አደገኛ አቋም አለ። በተለይም የአማራ የክልል ኃይሎች ሚሊሻ ከትግራይ ይውጡ እንዲሁም ደግሞ ተደራደሩ የሚሉ አቋሞችን የሚያንጸባርቁ ስቴትመንቶች በየጊዜው ወጥተዋል። ይሄ በጣም አደገኛ።
As you start getting back to the things you love, don't forget the most important thing, to love yourself. Celebrate what you have and
ገኛ ነው። የሰልፉ ዓላማ እንግዲህ የምዕራባውያኑን ጫና በግብፅና በሱዳን አቀነባባሪነት ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ባሉ የጽንፈኞች እና አክራሪዎች በኢትዮጵያ ላይ የሚደርሰውን ዘርፈ ብዙ አደጋ እና ከበባ ለመቃወም ለማጋለጥ በጋራ መቆማችን ከህዝባችን ጋር ለማረጋገጥ የተጠራ ሰልፍ ነው በዋነኝነት።
ትክክል። በእርግጥ ሰልፈኞቹ ላይ ቁጣ ይታይ ነበረ ቅድም ስመለከተው። ምናልባትም አሜሪካ እርስዎ እንዳሉት አሁን በኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ጉዳይ ጣልቃ መግባቷ ብዙዎችን ያስቆጣቸው ይመስላልና የመጀመሪያ ሰልፉ ያደረጋችሁበት አሁን ቦታ የት ነው? ከዛስ ወዴት ነው የምታመሩት?
አዎ የአሜሪካ ጣልቃ ገብነት ብዙ ኢትዮጵያውያን እያስቆጣ ነው። አንዱም የሰልፉ ላይ የተንጸባረቁት መልእክቶች፣ መፈክሮች እነኝን የሚያንጸባርቁ አሜሪካ ጣልቃ ገብነትን እንደምናወገዝ፣ ኢትዮጵያ ለአፍሪካ ቀንድ ሰላምና መረጋጋት ትልቅ ሚና ያላት ሀገር ናት። የአሜሪካ ስትራቴጂካዊ ኢንትረስት ከኢትዮጵያ ሰላምና ከትህነግን በማበርና ትህነግ የተደመሰሰውን ህወሓትን እንደገና ለማንሰራራት የምታደርገውን ጥረት ያወገዘ ሰልፍ ነው እና በዚህ አኳያ ዋናው የዛሬው ሰልፍ የተጀመረው እንግዲህ በስቴት ዲፓርትመንት ነው። መልእክቶቹም ለስቴት ዲፓርትመንት እና ለሴክሬታሪ ብሊንከን የተላለፉ መልእክቶች ነበሩ። ደብዳቤም የተዘጋጀ ነበር። ያም ደብዳቤ ተሰጥቷል ለኢትዮጵያ ዴስክ ኃላፊ።
በጣም ጥሩ። ወደ ካፒቶል ሂል ትሄዳላችሁ?
ወደ ካፒቶል ሂልም ለመሄድ አሁን ዝግጅት ላይ ነው። እዛ ምንድነው በቅርቡ ልዩ መልእክተኛ ሆኖ ሄደው የጄፍሪ ፈልትማን ሂሪንግ አለ። በእርግጥ ክሎዝ የሆነው የተዘጋ ሂሪንግ ነው፣ ገለጻ ያደርጋል። እንዲሁም የተለያዩ ተቋማት መሪዎች ኢንክሉዲንግ የናሽናል ኢንቴሊጀንስ የሚባለው የሲአይኤ ሳይሆን የናሽናል ኢንቴሊጀንስ ዳይሬክተሬት ሲኒየር ኦፊሻልም ሂሪንግ ይሰጣል። ይሄ ጥሩ አጋጣሚ ነው። ድምጻችንን የኢትዮጵያኖችን ድምፅ ተቃውሞ ለማሰማት በሚል እዛም እንሄዳለን። ወደዛ አሁን ሰልፈኛ ወደዛ ለማምራት እየተዘጋጀ ነው።
በሰልፎቹ ላይ የኤርትራም ሰንደቅ ዓላማ እየተመለከትኩ ነበርና ኤርትራንም አብረው የወጡ ይመስለኛል። ልክ ነኝ?
ኤርትራውያኖች በንቃት እና በብዛት መጥተዋል። መፈክሮችም የኤርትራ ሰንደቅ ዓላማም እንዲሁም ደግሞ ከኤርትራ ኮሚኒቲ ተወካዮች ንግግር አድርገዋል እና በጣም ደማቅ ሰልፍ ነው። በተለይ አንዩዥዋሊ ከሰዓት በኋላ ዩዥዋሊ ብዙ ጊዜ ጠዋት ነው ሰልፍ የሚደረገው። ዛሬ ግን የዚህ የካፒቶል ሂል ያለውን ስብሰባ እሱ ሚዲያም ሊመጣ ስለሚችል እዛም በርካታ የሴኔት ኮንግሬስ አባላት ሊኖሩ ስለሚችሉ ለሂሪንጉ እንዲያውም በሚል የተላለፈ ከጠዋት ወደ ከሰዓት ለተደረገ ሰልፍ በእውነቱ በአጭር ጊዜ ለተጠራ በርካታ ሰልፍ ወጥቷል። በጣም ጥሩ ሁኔታ ነው ያለው።
እንግዲህ አቶ ነአምን ዘለቀ እርስዎ በዚህ በማህበራዊ ሚዲያውም ሆነ በውጭ ሚዲያዎች በኩል ያለውን ኢትዮጵያ ላይ ጫና ለመፍጠር የሚደረገውን ነገር በመመከት በኩል ጥረት ከሚያደርጉ ኢትዮጵያን መካከል አንዱ እርስዎ ኖት እና በዚህም ሰልፍ ላይ በግንባር ቀደምት ነው የሚታዩት። ከዚህ አኳያ ለሌሎች ኢትዮጵያን አሁን ለሚሰሙት ለኤርትራውያኑ ያሉት መልእክት ካለ እስኪ ይንገሩንና ጥያቄ እንቋጫለሁ።
እንግዲህ እያንዳንዱ ኢትዮጵያዊ መረዳት ያለበት የለውጥ ሂደት ላይ ነን። በመንግስት በኩል ብዙ ድክመቶች እና ዘርፈ ብዙ ችግሮች አሉ። በማንነት እና በብሔር ኢትዮጵያኖች ይጠቃሉ። ይህንን ደግሞ ሙሉ በሙሉ ለመመከት መንግስት አልቻለም። በዚህ ምክንያት በህዝቡ ዘንድ ያለው ቁጣ በደንብ እረዳለሁ። እኔንም ልቤን የሚያደማ ነው። ነገር ግን ህዝብን፣ አገርንና መንግስትን ለይተን ማየት አለብን። በመንግስት በኩል ያሉ ድክመቶች እንደተጠበቁ ሆነው ዛሬ ኢትዮጵያ የገባችበት አጣብቂኝ ከመንግስት በላይ ሀገራችን ህልውና የሚፈታተን ነው። ይሄ መንግስት የዶክተር አብይ ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር አብይ አህመድ መንግስት ይቆይ አይቆይ አይደለም። ኢትዮጵያ ቀጣይቱን አቱን ነው። ኢትዮጵያን ለማፍረስ ዛሬ የምዕራባን ኃይሎች፣ የትህነግ ዲያስፖራ፣ አክራሪዎችና ጽንፈኞች፣ ግብፅና ሱዳን እነኚህ በሙሉ በሀገራችን ላይ በተለያየ ደረጃ አንዳንዱ በቅንብር ሌላው ሳይቀነባበር የሚደረግ ከፍተኛ ጫናና የማፍረስ ዘመቻ ነው። ይህንን ለመከላከል የምንችለው በጋራ ስንቆም ነው። ሀገርን ከመንግስት መለየት አለብን። መንግስት ደግሞ ኢትዮጵያን ለጊዜው ያለው አጣብቆ የያዘው ይፋም ይልማም ያለውን ሁኔታ መቆጣጠር የሚችለው መከላከያም ያለው ሴኪሪቲም ያለው ደን with all its problems መንግስት ነው። ይህንን መንግስት ማዳከም ማለት ኢትዮጵያን መበተን ነው። ስለዚህ እያንዳንዱ ኢትዮጵያዊ ሀገርን ኢትዮጵያን አስቀድሞ ተረጋግቶ ሰክኖ ያሉትን ችግሮች 30 ዓመት የተተበተቡ ችግሮች፣ ዘርፈ ብዙ ችግሮች አሉ። እነኚህን ችግሮች ለመፍታት የምንችለው ተረጋግተን በሰከነ በብልሃት መንገድ ይሄ ምርጫ ሰላማዊና ነፃ ሆኖ መንግስት ሌጂትሜሲ ያለው መንግስት መጥቶ ደረጃ በደረጃ ችግሮቻችን ታክል ማድረግ ስንችል። ስለዚህ ብዙ ነገር የተምታታ ነገር አለ። ባሉ ብሶቶች ህዝብ ውስጥ በማንነት ጥቃት ምክንያት አንዳንድ ኃይሎች ህዝቡን ስሜት እየኮረኮሩ ከሀገር አፍራሾች ጋር እያወቀም ይሁን ሳያውቅ እንዲቆም እያደረጉ ነው። ይሄ ለሀገራችን ህልውና በጣም አደገኛ ነው። ኢትዮጵያ ህልውና ከምን ጊዜውም በላይ ትልቅ ፈተና ውስጥ ነው የወደቀው። ይሄን ፈተና ለመቋቋም በጋራ መቆም አለብን። ብዙ ልዩነቶች አሉ፣ የፖለቲካም የሌላ። እነኚህን ልዩነቶች ወደ ጎን አድርገን የኢትዮጵያን አንድነት የኢትዮጵያን ህልውና ለማስቀጠል
Okay, that's the demonstration happened on Monday at Washington D.C. in front of State Department, and the main point, they are out there to denounce the United States and the other Western countries. By claiming, these countries are interfering with the internal affairs of Ethiopia. But that's not true. That's not true. All international media reported what happened in Tigray region against girls, against women, against hospitals, other public buildings and private properties. All the crimes committed by the Amaras, by Eritrean soldiers and Ethiopian defense forces. So the facts are there, but what they try to do is, as I said, they want to divert the attention. They want to change the topic. They want to avoid accountability for all the crimes committed in Tigray region. That's why all this, the shouting and trashing the United States and blaming the United States for interfering. No, the United States is not interfering. They are not. The Europeans are not interfering. They are demanding justice for the problem. So that claim is not correct. There is no interference. The United States is asking for Eritrean soldiers to be removed immediately, not cheating by saying we're gonna do it, we're gonna remove them. No, they demand for their immediate removal, and for the removal of the Amara Special Forces from Tigray region. You know, the operation was law and order. It's not about capturing land. So they are taking advantage of the law and order operation. Okay, let's see now Joe Biden about the Palestinian and Israeli conflict and the Israeli aggression against the Palestinians. Still bombing going on, destruction, death, and the destruction is still happening because nobody gonna stop the Israeli, the powerful country in the Middle East. Nobody, she doesn't listen to anybody. But anyway, the call for ceasefire is happening, but I don't know if she listen. Let's see these two videos and finish up.
Land new tricks without stopping for ads. Start a free trial of YouTube Premium and skate uninterrupted.
After continued Israeli strikes on Gaza and persistent pressure from his fellow Democrats, President Biden is now calling for a ceasefire. In a phone call with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the White House says in a statement, the president expressed his support for a ceasefire. Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, one of the most persistent critics of the president from within his own party, tweeted, "Finally, our delay in supporting a ceasefire has caused the slaughter of children and destruction of lives. Now Biden has to push for an end to the occupation." The White House press secretary has been insisting the Biden administration is engaged in quiet diplomacy to end the conflict and reduce Palestinian and Israeli casualties.
The prism we are making all of our decisions through is how can we help bring an end to the violence and bring an end to de-escalate the situation on the ground.
In March, President Biden's own Secretary of State promised to make human rights the foundation of American foreign policy.
And the Biden-Harris administration will stand against human rights abuses wherever they occur, regardless of whether the perpetrators are adversaries or partners.
Critics argue the rights of Palestinians, who make up the overwhelming number of civilian deaths and injuries in the current conflict, are being ignored. And Biden has failed to roll back most of his predecessor's pro-Israel policies that he once called destructive. The U.S. Embassy remains in Jerusalem. Biden has not overturned President Trump's recognition of Israel's sovereignty over the occupied Golan Heights. Biden's foreign policy has also avoided condemning forced expulsions of Palestinians from their homes.
So far, it's a dramatic failure. The main reason for that is that the administration was taken off by surprise. They did not expect this to happen. It's partly a self-inflicted wound.
Biden maintains both Israelis and Palestinians are entitled to safety and security in equal measure. That's why some members of Congress are questioning reports of a recent one-sided arms deal, $735 million in new weapons to Israel. Some lawmakers argue the sale should be halted until Israel stops its military campaign. Biden has consistently defended Israel's right to defend itself, and he has repeatedly criticized the Hamas rockets raining down on Israeli soil, at one point saying the Israeli assault was not disproportionate, but there have been days of air attacks since then. Now, Israelis and Palestinians alike wait to see if the American president's call for a ceasefire will actually make a difference. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Washington.
The violence between Israel and the militant group Hamas showed no signs of slowing on Tuesday, despite U.S. and other global efforts to stop the region's fiercest hostilities in years. Gaza health officials said the Palestinian death toll has risen above 200 people after more than a week of Israeli airstrikes and artillery fire. Within Israel, 10 people have also lost their lives. The United States on Monday said it had encouraged a ceasefire in phone calls with Israel. White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki.
Our calculation at this point is that having those conversations behind the scenes, weighing in with our important strategic partnership we have with Israel, also with other countries in the region, is the most constructive approach we can take. So our approach is through quiet, intensive diplomacy, and that's where we feel we can be most effective.
But President Joe Biden is facing growing pressure from lawmakers in his own Democratic Party to play a more vocal role. He's spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu 3 times since the violence began. Biden has strongly defended Israel's right to defend itself from Hamas, which the U.S. calls a terrorist organization. But the administration did not support Israel's missile strike on a media building in Gaza, which housed bureaus for the Associated Press and Al Jazeera. Despite the pressure for a ceasefire, Netanyahu said strikes in Gaza would carry on.
The directive is to continue to strike at
This
terror
is an
targets.
evil man,
We will continue
very
to act
evil
as
man,
necessary to restore peace
bloodthirsty,
and security to all
and
residents
never
of Israel.
satisfied.
The armed wing of Hamas promised more rockets in return. Egypt and United Nations mediators have also stepped up diplomatic efforts, while the UN General Assembly will meet later this week to discuss the violence.
Okay, that's all from the video today. So that's a very serious situation between Israel and the Palestinians, and I know the United States and other countries are, giving more time to Israel to destroy more buildings, more lives in Gaza strips and West Bank and other areas by, encouraging Israel, Israel has a right to defend itself. That's indirectly, encouraging Israel to conduct more bombing and creating more chaos, more deaths in West Bank. Plus also, as you heard on the video, the United States is selling weapons like 730 million, value weapons to the Israel. So Israel is already a powerful country. They can manufacture their own tools, weapons, including the nuclear bomb, but still they are getting more and more resources from the United States and other countries. That's why Israel doesn't listen to anybody talking about UN resolution, US, maybe for publicity they say something, but on the phone they say, hey, go ahead, finish all these Hamas and all the Palestinians. Don't worry about all these rising buildings. Destroy all of them. Don't worry. That's why they're telling them. That's why you see the continuation of all destructions from generation to generations. It's a very sad one, very sad. If the Palestinians became strong and they just destroy one tall building from Israel, all the world will stand up with 1 foot to stop the war. You will not hear reluctancy from British, from the United States and others. All. They will go to Egypt, Jordan, beg them to stop the war. Only one building, one tall building, like the one destroyed in Gaza. If it's destroyed from Tel Aviv or something, one tall building. So far, yes, some damage, 10 people died, yes, but the damage on Palestinians is tenfold, maybe more. That's why everyone is, chilling. talking like, just with low voice, with very low voice. And I know I think the Bush administration, tried everything, plus the Trump administration also, to isolate the Palestinian government, to suffocate, to kill them, and end diplomatic relation, isolate Palestinians, and strengthen Israeli to take over the Palestinian lands. Talk of 1967 is interesting to hear, and it will not be practical. No, forget about 1967. Years later, after that, will not be accepted by Israeli, by nuclear power country. Israel will control more lands, because there is no a point for discussion. Palestinians asking 1967, Israelis laughing at them. The United Nations has so many resolutions, and Israel laughing all these resolutions. You can't do nothing to Israel unless the Israelis are willing to give some, not 1967, but maybe 2018, 2016, some lands. That even hard, because they are still taking more land now. So how this problem will end? It will continue from generation to generation. So that's a very sad story, and I will keep watching for you and report to you and share with you. And but for Naaman Zalaka and for his supporters, please slow down, get off from the United States back, and advise your Prime Minister to do the right thing, to respect the rules of law in that country, respect human dignity. He is not doing that. He is allowing his security forces to kill teenagers in public square. He is allowing his security forces to take prisoners from jail and shoot them in the middle of the night. Many atrocities and the crimes committed in Tigray region, horrible crimes. So confrontation, I say again, confrontation, unnecessary confrontation will not take us anywhere. And the country is already isolated. This will not help us. So they have to focus on the agenda, not try to divert the agenda. Don't try to divert the agendas. The agenda is remove the Eritrean forces from Tigray region and other areas. Remove the Amaras from the areas they occupied through law and order operation. That's illegal. And bring all these criminals to accountability, and deal with all stakeholders about the future of that country, not about this fake election. So that is the point. You can demonstrate many times, but still you cannot change the facts about that country. All the Europeans, the Americans, and others, they know what's happening. So don't try to divert it. Advise your person, your Prime Minister, if he's listening to you, try to, tell him to resign if he cannot lead. We asked the Concerned Citizens Media, repeatedly requested his resignation, but he is not leading the country in the right way. The country is full of illegal activities, war, command post, illegal killings, law and order broken, as I said, Colonel Gammachu case and, the university graduate student case, many cases, many illegal cases, not resolved because he is manipulating from behind, using just the security or his national guards to move prisoners from place to place, tortures them somewhere else. So this is the situation. I hope it will change. And thank you again. And I will be back with other news and comments. I appreciate your time. Please share with family and friends. If you have newsworthy items, send it to me. My email, birke@gmail.com. I appreciate you. See you again. So long, everyone, and be safe.